Welcome to Dr.Deepa Dahake's NEET Biology, and in today's session we mainly begins with the chapter 3rd, Human Reproduction from class 12th. In today's session we mainly discuss about the introductory part of the chapter as well as some of the important terms which are regularly used when we go through the process of human reproduction. And in what way we study the chapter? So first we study about the reproductive organs, structure of reproductive organs. Then we come towards the hormonal control of reproductive organs and process of gametogenesis. So in today we first study about the introduction. As you all are knowing, reproduction is a process by which the individual produces the new progeny of their own kind, and mainly when we study about the human reproduction, so predominantly we study about the sexual reproduction in human beings. Whenever we begins with the human reproduction, so one term we use, that is prenatal life. Prenatal life means, you remember, the time period which required for the development of embryo. So here you remember, embryonal development period is called as prenatal life. So embryonal period of embryo development is called prenatal life. Then the second term we use, that is postnatal life. Postnatal life means after birth the life begins, that is called the postnatal life. This term you remember. Now when we begins with reproduction, so the two types of sex organs we mainly discuss, the primary sex organs and secondary sex organ. Primary sex organ, you remember, what are primary organs? Primary organs we mainly study in males. Testes are the primary sex organ, and in females ovaries are the primary organs. What or for what purpose they are called primary sex organs? So here you remember, the organ in which process of gametogenesis is take place, those organs are called primary organs. In males, testes responsible for the formation of spermatozoa, and in females, here you remember, pair of testes and here also pair of ovaries are responsible for the ovum formation or for the formation of female gamete or egg. Now when we come towards the next step, then first we discuss about the process of gametogenesis. As it is, we follow the NCERT. So today we only completed the introduction part. Gametogenesis हम study करते हैं. So main important thing you remember, the gametogenesis in human is under control. Here you remember, the gametogenesis is followed by meiosis, meiosis division is take place or completed by meiosis division or reduction division. What is gametogenesis? In simple terms we say the process of formation of haploid gamete from a diploid mother cell. That process is called as gametogenesis. Gametogenesis is differ in male and females. In male individual, gametogenesis is responsible for the formation of spermatozoa. Therefore, that process is called as spermatogenesis. And in female individuals or in females, you remember, the process simply called as oogenesis. because the ovum formation is take place by this process. So this part you remember, gametogenesis. Once the gametes are formed, then one another terms we study, that the next terms are, the one process in male individual is called as spermiation, and the another process, the similar process regarded with ovum, take place in females, that is called ovulation. Spermiation, you remember, the release of spermatozoa from the testes or from seminiferous tubules is called as spermiation. So simply here you remember the process of release of spermatozoa from the seminiferous tubules called spermiation. And similarly ovulation is the process of release of ovum from the ovary is called as ovulation. When we study about the oogenesis in females and we study the menstrual phases of menstrual cycle, at that time we discuss that the ovulation exactly take place in females at the 14th day or mid of the menstrual cycle. So that part also you remember for your NEET exams. Now once the spermiation and ovulation is take place, after that the next process is take place in human reproductive system. That process is called as fertilization. Now all the students are very well know about the definition of fertilization. So simply the fusion of male and female gametes or male and female nuclei is called as fertilization. ये part याद रखिए. Now what is the product of fertilization? This is also clear to all. Fertilization, always you remember, the process of fertilization results in the formation of diploid zygotes. So formation, you remember, the diploid zygote formation, in the formation of diploid zygote. This part you remember. Now this zygote undergoes in embryogenesis. So embryogenesis term we mainly not used or not studied in human reproduction. And here we study the one term that is called as cleavage. So cleavage, you remember, most important term for board exam also. So here you remember one term is there that is called as cleavage. Now what is cleavage? Cleavage, you simply remember, mitosis divisions in zygote during embryo development. These mitosis division, important thing is that the type of division. Clear? So zygote whenever undergoes in mitosis division, and this zygote will lead to the development of diploid embryo, then those mitosis divisions are called as cleavage. In different individuals, individual means different example, in birds, in reptiles, mammals, the cleavages take place in different ways. So that we also study when we come towards the fertilization and cleavage in zygote. Now after cleavage, one term is there that is called as gestation period. Embryogenesis, simply you remember, the process of development of embryo. Now here you remember some terms are there. One term for related to embryo is morula. The second term is called as blastula or blastocyst we say. And the third term in human embryo development is present called gastrula. So what are these stages? Here you remember morula, when the zygote is regularly divided and it will produces 8 to 16 cell stage. So 8 to 16 cell stage of an embryo is called as morula. Blastocyst, you remember, the stage which is showing the presence of 32 to 64 cells. And secondly, blastocyst, you remember, blastocyst is characterized by, ये हो सकता है अभी कुछ स्टूडेंट्स को confusion होगा, but when we study all these things, so all the things are automatically clear. But यहाँ पे देखिए, when simple terms में याद रखिए, gametes undergoes in fertilization. After fertilization zygote form हुआ and then this zygote undergoes in division. When single cell zygote continuously divide, so it will lead to formation of 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell and then 16 cells. So the stage of embryo in which it shows the presence of 8 to 16 cell, then that stage is called as morula. These 16 cells further undergoes in division and after that it will lead to the development of 32 to 64 cells. Then the cell stage, this 32 to 64 cell stage of embryo is called as blastocyst. And blastocyst, you remember, characterized by one cavity. That cavity is called as blastocele. So this you remember, blastocele is a characteristic cavity and it is represented inside the blastocele is a characteristic cavity present in developing embryo and it is present at the stage of blastocyst. And then gastrula. Gastrula, you simply remember, the stage of embryonal development when 3 germ layers start to form. So the stage of 3 germ layer is called as gastrula. 3 germ layer because humans are triploblastic and the 3 germ layers, ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm is developed. So this part you remember, these 3 stages we particularly use during the embryonal development. Once the embryo development begins, then we study one another term that is called as gestation period. Gestation period means, you remember, a time period required for the maturation of embryo or complete development of embryo. So time required for complete embryo development is called as gestation period. In human being, this time period is for 9 months. So that part you remember. And once the gestation period is over, then another process is take place in females. So that you remember, from here you remember, after fertilization, all the processes, fertilization, this again important thing, fertilization is take place inside the body of female, and after fertilization whatever changes are take place, all those changes are only related with the female body. And then another condition, another process is take place, that is called as parturition. When we come towards parturition, so simply parturition, you remember, one of the complex neuroendocrine mechanism, ये part याद रखिएगा, it is neuroendocrine mechanism. Now what do we understand? Because the pituitary gland, nervous system as well as endocrine gland system, both are equally responsible for the process of parturition. And now what exactly parturition? So parturition, here you remember, parturition means the process of giving birth to baby. That process is called as parturition. So this part you remember. And after parturition, females undergoes in lactation period. So lactation period means the period of period in the life of mother when the mother is under the process of milk production. So that part you remember. So these terms mainly, students, these terms you prepared very well, because these terms the students who are preparing for board के लिए अगर आप prepared करते हैं, so gametogenesis का term generally आ रहा है 1 marks questions में. Spermiation, differences asked generally between the spermiation and spermatogenesis. So spermatogenesis, you remember, the process of formation of spermatozoa, and spermiation is the process of release of spermatozoa from seminiferous tubule. So this definition you remember very well. And then after cleavage, repeatedly asked in board exams as well as in NEET exam, what kind of division is take place in during the cleavage, that also asked. So cleavage is related with mitosis and gametogenesis is related with the meiosis division. And then after parturition, these four definition you properly remember for your board exams. Conceptually clear rahiye, when will be the meiosis division take place. So conceptually you remember that the human beings are diploid, parent body is diploid, all the vegetative cells are diploid, and the cells which are involved in gametogenesis inside the testes and inside the ovary, those cells are also diploid. Gametes हम पढ़ चुके हैं कि gametes are always diploid, gametes are always haploid, zygote is always diploid, parents may be haploid or may be diploid. So when parent body is diploid, ये बिल्कुल याद रखिएगा, when parent body is diploid, then the process of gametogenesis is always take place by meiosis division. Because of this meiosis, the diploid cell become convert into haploid gametes, and then these haploid gametes when further fuse, so they will continue the diploid number of chromosome in the next progeny. So आज इस सेशन में इतना ही हम पढ़ेंगे मेनली, क्योंकि यहाँ पे इंट्रोडक्शन का पार्ट है. बिकॉज इफ आई बिगिंस विद द मेल रिप्रोडक्टिव सिस्टम, इन मेल रिप्रोडक्टिव सिस्टम में हमको पूरा डिटेल स्टडी करना है. दैट व्हाट इज द फंक्शन ऑफ स्क्रोटम, what is the structure of testes, and along with testes primary sex organ is. So first we completed the structure of primary sex organ, and along with that we will continue with the ducts, accessory ducts which responsible for the formation of path of spermatozoa. So from next session we will begins with the male reproductive system. And with this I had sum up my today's session. शॉर्ट सेशन है, पसंद आएगा आप लोगों को, क्योंकि स्टूडेंट्स वांट टू वेरी 20 to 25 minute सेशंस. ओके, एंड अप टू नेक्स्ट सेशन स्टे मोटिवेटेड, स्टे ब्लेस्ड. जो स्टूडेंट्स आज कनेक्ट हुए हैं, दे काइंडली सब्सक्राइब माय चैनल, लाइक माय वीडियो, शेयर माय वीडियोस, एंड अप टू नेक्स्ट सेशन स्टे ब्लेस्ड एंड स्टे मोटिवेटेड.